Do you ever feel like you're giving parts of yourself away and you're abandoning yourself? I used to be the same way. And this picture here is when I had literally become a hollow shell of who I was. And I had forgotten completely who I was at this point because I had given myself away physically, spiritually, and mentally at this point. And I was completely drained of all energy. And at that time, I didn't even really care, to be honest, because I felt so like lifeless. And, now it's been how many years? 3 years since this picture was taken. And my whole life has turned around in ways I could never imagine. And I have so much peace within myself and around me that I protect with a vengeance. And I want to share with you a little bit about my journey to inner peace and how you can get peace too. Peace begins with me is a quote you may have heard. And I find this to be so true in my life. And I ignored it for so long. I went through most of my life up until a few years ago, just living kind of sporadically. Like I felt like I was kind of like drifting with the wind and with the people in my life versus really tuning into my core, my center, my inner voice and finding out, what does Kristen want? Who is Kristen? And how can I live more authentically as myself? So, the first thing I want to talk about is just finding your core essence and discovering what's important to you. And just about a year and a half ago, I went through a phase of my life where wasn't really sure who I was. I had been absorbing everyone else's energies and every other person's wishes for my life. And I found I was giving them the power, the key to my happiness and to my peace. But in that, I was actually shattering myself and self abandoning. I was abandoning myself by going along for the ride on what I call someone else's map, right? It's like, take a minute right now to think about, are you living in someone else's map and going on that path, that journey that they want you to go on? Or are you on your own map and it feels authentic to you where you're going and you feel really confident and feel really good and peaceful? My guess is you may be on someone else's map and you're looking to reclaim your own map. And that starts with really our inner guidance system, is really like back that year and a half ago, I had to sit with myself and say, who am I? I had gotten so far away from myself that I couldn't recognize myself anymore. I had given all my power away to every single person in my life except to me. And I had also lost conscious contact with my higher power, with God. And so as I sat there, I had to try all these different things to remember who I am. And the biggest thing I started with was, what did I love to do as a kid? So I'll ask you that question. What did you love to do when you were young? For me, it was a lot of creative things. Like I loved photography, I loved painting and drawing and writing and designing clothes and things like that. So anything that was really like creative, but also I loved nature. I found myself escaping to nature a lot because that really soothed me when things in the home weren't going smoothly. And when there was that chaos, I had that safe place on this rock in the woods. And that was my safe place. And so I started doing some more creative things again. I found my joy again. And that was really so pivotal for me to discover that joy. And I've always loved hiking. So that's something I didn't give up while I was giving my map to other people. So I just really tuned into that. And now I do a daily nature walk, except for today because there's snow squalls outside here where I'm living. But if it wasn't like negative degrees, I would be out there because even in the snow, sometimes I will be out walking in nature because that is where I find peace. So, where do you find peace in your life? What activities are you doing when peace comes to you easily and effortlessly? And the first thing I would recommend when trying to find your peace, as you're kind of discovering these parts of yourself, these missing pieces, and bring them back to wholeness within you. I almost picture this vase that's been broken and you're putting it back together, but you're sealing it with gold instead of just like regular glue, because that's what this process is. It's really bringing you into your golden self, your highest self, your most abundant timeline. And so, as you're discovering that, take time away from the people, places, and things that you normally do. Give yourself a weekend if possible, or even just a day, an hour a day, and either journal, meditate, pray, go for a walk in nature if you can, and just sit by yourself and reflect because all of the chaos around you, that all the things that don't bring you peace, and distract you and bring you out in different directions, you'll never find your peace if you're still around them. So the first thing is to kind of reflection by yourself, we'll say. And again, journal, sit in reflection, just also turn your phone off, and just like stop for a minute and just really ask yourself these questions of what brings you joy, what brings you peace, when are you happy, when are you sad, how do you want to feel? So ask yourself these questions. And then after you know who you are, what your values are, what brings you joy and peace, now you found your map. That's your inner guidance system that lives in your heart, right? So once you have that and you're back in connection, it's almost like a realignment with yourself when you're reflecting and you're taking that time to reconnect with your inner guidance system that's been there the whole time. And that's the one true voice that you have. I connect this to spirit, to God, but it can be whatever you want to call it. Inner guidance system is what I call it, but that's the one voice that's there for a reason, and that's your voice. That voice tells you what's meant for you and you alone, because you are here, you are unique. There is not anyone else that has your fingerprint, that is who you are, that has the same gifts as you. And that's why you're here. You were put on this planet for your own unique journey and the gifts that you bring others. So always try to remember, like, peace begins with me. And just take that moment if you're feeling out of alignment to come back to yourself and realign with your values and what you crave. So now that you have your own map and you're going out on your own way, it's important to make sure that you're not getting distracted by people trying to bring you back onto their maps or onto the wrong paths for you. So in my own life, I had to set boundaries once I discovered who I am. And sometimes that even meant like editing people completely out of my life, because there's a couple things to look at. So one is people, one is places, and the other is things, right? And these are all three things that need to really be in a core alignment with your values and who you are and who you're becoming. So take a look at the people in your life and how you feel when you're around them and how you spend your time with them. Are you doing activities that feed your soul and your peace? Or are you doing things that take you away from who you truly are and from your values? Because you might be a creative and you love, taking an art class or going out on a photo shoot in some really cool place like Bryce Canyon. And if someone's taking you somewhere else that's in your life and someone that's close to you, and they're like, let's go party, let's go do this, let's go do that, and it's out of alignment, then that's a waste of your time because it's taking you away from your path. So just take a moment and think about the people in your life and if they're supporting your vision and your values or if they're taking you away from your vision and values. So the first one is people, and really think about that. Do I need to set boundaries with these people, see some of them less? And the people that are in alignment, maybe I want to see them more. And just there's a whole process there. The next thing is places, like where do you spend your time? And if it's at home, start editing there first, right? Because your home is an expression of you and it should reflect who you are. So if there's a bunch of clutter in your house, time to get rid of it and like go through it, sort, organize, donate, whatever you need to do to make space for your new life that's coming in. And I'm just at the final phases of my home reorganization right now. So having that space, I've always been like a minimalist, but over time we collect things. So I just went through all my closets and I have some things that will be going to Goodwill soon, and just make that space and make it really reflective of who you are. Like I love the beach. You see some like palm trees back here. And then I have this big like wave, like canvas over my bed. And there's, what is it? Like there's a lot of like nautical themes in my bathroom. So just like make sure the colors make you feel good. What's there makes you feel good. And take a moment. So you can start your home, your office at work, your car, um, all the places you spend time. Are they reflective of you? And even when you go out, does that feel good to you? And you'll start to notice how you feel in these environments, and it will trigger like a yes or a no, right? Like in alignment, not in alignment. So that's places. And then things. So, what things are you spending your time on? Like the activities that you're doing, right? So, thinking about how you spend your time, whether it's scrolling. I'm guilty of that, right? Or if it's being out in nature, if that's something you love, if it's painting, or if you're into like, I don't know, like motocross or like something else, like some activity like rock climbing. Like, are you spending your time doing the things that bring you joy and love? Or are you spending time doing things that are distractions? A lot of times you'll find yourself spending inordinate amounts of times on distractions. And honestly, in our world, that is so normal. But it's so important when you catch yourself, like in the distraction and noticing that you're there instead of where you want to be, to course correct, right? It's almost like meditation. If you've done meditation, you always focus on an anchor in your meditation. Like it could be your breath, is like the most basic one. So breathing in and out. And when you get distracted by a thought, you come right back to focusing on your breath and your breathing. So same thing in life on people, places, and things. Like when we get brought off course, as soon as we have the awareness, how can we come back in? And that's something that I found really valuable in my life. And I now have cultivated this peace. I have gone through a lot of iterations of, or edits, I guess, of people in my life, including family, close friends. And it's not easy, right? But we really need to do what's important to live our message and why we're here. So, living that out is so important. So, I've had to do edits on people, on places, and on things and my activities. Like, I go to the gym way more now than I used to, like years ago, because it makes me feel good physically, mentally, and spiritually. So, those are some, I didn't even think about that, but that's something you can think about of how you're spending your time. And it can be those three buckets, right? How am I spending my time physically, spiritually, and mentally? Because those three areas of health are key to feeling good and being at peace. And if one of them is missing, um, then you could feel a little off kilter, or your peace may not be there. You could be back into the chaos, and that's not what we want. So yeah, so those are some things just to start thinking about, and some things that I've done in my life that it's really brought me such inner peace. And I protect my peace at all costs because I have given my entire self away to people, and I was just a hollow shell of a human being. And that's not someone I ever want to return to. I never want to abandon myself or go so far away from myself that I don't recognize myself. I hope you found this video helpful. If so, feel free to give it a like, leave a comment below, or subscribe. I'd love for you to join this beautiful community. We're all here to support each other. And I'm so proud of everyone that's a part of this community. And I love talking to y'all. And until next time, I hope you stay safe and take really good care of yourself. Thanks so much.